Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday and happy November. Hope you're all staying warm wherever you are. Thank you all for taking a little time and joining us for this new webinar, 5 Powerful AI Strategies That Winning Attorneys Actually Use, featuring Joe Stevens, of course, as our panelist. My name is Tara, and I am here to support you all throughout this webinar. And I want to quickly just touch on a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. On the right side of your screen, you'll see a big chat panel. I encourage you to submit any questions or comments in that panel as we move along. We'll be able to address them throughout the webinar and with some dedicated time near the end of the hour too. It's a great way to interact with your peers too. We'll have a poll to participate in and resources to share with you that will pop up in that panel as well. Feel free to get familiar and type in the chat where you are joining us from today. And if you experience any audio or visual disruptions, you can also feel free to let me know in the chat so that I can help you troubleshoot. And lastly, this webinar will be recorded for viewing later on. A copy of the recording and slide deck will be sent to you by email. And the slides will also be available to you in the panel under the handouts tab. And with all of that out of the way, I'm very excited to pass the mic over to Joe so he can get us started.
Tara, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with everyone. I always love seeing where people are joining from. Austin, that's where I went to law school. Baltimore is where I used to live. Like, I love this representation, and it really is a wonderful community, and it comes together, especially now around AI, right? And we're here again talking about AI, coming at it from a very different angle this time. And we're really going to dive in the remaining time that we have together. We're going to really dive into kind of a similar structure that you're used to if you've joined these before. We're going to set things up with some sort of more like theory side of things, like how you can actually specifically use AI to enhance your practice. The idea with this, as is with all of these webinars that Steno does that we do, is that you're going to leave with some actual materials and some real life practice tips. I promise there is going to be at least one prompt in here, one use case in here that y'all will be able to take with you and save some time, make your practice more efficient, make your life a little bit easier. And I say that from real experience. Like, I am a law professor. I'm in Lubbock, Texas. I don't ever see anyone. Well, that's not true. I don't know if anyone in this is joining from Lubbock, but if you are, hello from West Texas. I use AI with my students. I use AI in my practice. And it is the things that you're going to see here are things that I actually have used in real cases that have got quicker results and allowed for us to be much more prepared and get to the resolution quickly. I mean, it's amazing, right? These are things that are real. It's not just theory. Before I jump into this, because we're really going to jump in kind of quick, I want to say a couple of things. The chat is amazing. The richest part of these discussions and of these webinars is always, always, always when you guys see something on here and you ask follow-up questions, where you ask about specific use cases. So get lively in the chat. And I will get to your questions. I'll either save them till the end or I'll deal with them right then and there. But again, I'm an actual practitioner. I'm a lawyer who uses AI. I want to help you all use AI, and Steno is an incredible example of a neat, like a specialized AI product that can do tremendous things for you and your practice. And we're going to talk about all of this stuff. A couple of you have chimed in with some audio and video issues that happen. Sometimes this does happen. You'll see that one of the moderators, Dio, shout out to Dio, she's amazing, is got something in the chat that sort of outlines how you handle your audio and video issues. Remember, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to get it on the back end. Okay, so let's start with the baseline. I don't know how many times and to how many different groups around the country I've talked to people about AI specific to their legal practice. And There's a poll in the chat. I love this poll. We run this poll all the time. The data is really interesting, watching it change over time. Are you using it at your firm or in your practice? I love this because we really have dynamically seen the answers change over the last however many months. There has just never been such a rapid integration of transformative technology to a lot of sectors, especially the legal sector. And every single week, it almost seems like it can handle newer tasks or make those existing tasks more polished or more beneficial to you. The baseline that I think really, where AI really most immediately affected the legal practice outside of like case law research and things like that, are when it comes to document analysis. And what we saw happen early on was that AI was used and was being deployed to summarize any sort of transcript, documents, and analyze those, extract information from them, generate the summaries. You're seeing like, just answering those simple questions. What's in this deposition? What did they testify about? Like, did they have, was there a timeline of events that they discussed? What were the issues at play? Really, the early phases of using AI to interrogate a transcript and understand quickly and much more quickly, like exactly the information that lived inside that deposition. We saw that that was often being delivered quite statically. In other words, you would take a deposition, and then along with the deposition, you might get delivered a summary that was just the summary. You had no control over its creation. In Steno's eyes, one of the things that we have sort of built this whole existence of our technology around is the idea of empowering every single practitioner to have control over all parts of the deposition process, right? So from the booking of the job all the way through, and now you can actually use our AI at no additional cost beyond the cost that you're paying to book the job. You are now able to use the AI to do and build documents of your own creation. And that is what we're going to be talking about here today. Summaries are amazing. Summaries are time. They take so much time. You can miss some things. The format might be weird. You might, like, the citations might be off on the human side. AI does this task brilliantly. And so we're going to really talk about the strategic use now beyond just creating summaries themselves. Okay, the poll is really interesting, right? Like, we're seeing about half of people here using it daily or almost every day. That was not the case even 6 months ago. Now, I would say of this group, it's about 50, what is it, 90% are either using it daily or almost every day, or to assist with small tasks. So 90% of people on here are really sitting here saying, how can I use it better? Are there ways that I can use it more efficiently? Like, okay, fantastic. You are in the right place, because that's what we're going to be doing for the next 50 minutes or so. For those of you all that have concerns about AI, I love talking to that group as well. I think you're right to have concerns about AI, but I don't think that those concerns should inhibit you from using it. Part of those concerns should be making sure that you're using the right product for the right reason. And then the other part of those concerns should be making sure that it's telling you the correct thing. We're going to tackle all of that today. Amazing. This might be our first. I know we've only got about 52% of the respondees right now, but might be the first time that we don't have someone on here that is saying that their firm does not allow them to use it. That's amazing. I really think that it just shows. I can't wait to do this poll in a year. I mean, I think that it's going to be even more significant. Okay. So here are the 5 areas we're going to talk about. And I'm going to kind of run through each of these individually. And then we're going to get into an actual product demo where we are going to use the specific examples to show you how to do each of these things and how they can affect and better sort of enhance your practice. So let me shift back to this chat here. Again, throw the questions in as they come up. I can't wait to see what things are on your guys' mind. These 5 areas that we're talking about, we're going to start with motions practice, but these are the things that I get the most frequent questions about when I give a demo of AI. People see it, create a summary of a transcript, and then it gets their mind racing. If it's true that it can do this well and quickly, what else can it do? Question 1, strategy 1, can it help with motions practice? And the answer is absolutely. And I think a theme that you're going to hear repeated here is, like, it can help you with motions practice, and it can be as creatively as you want to use it as an assistant in any motions practice you can. I've used it to analyze, uh, transcripts for arguments in support of specific motions for summary judgment or opposition to motions for summary judgment. Additional requests for production. Um, you know, uh, motions in limine is a really great use case. Opposition to motions in limine. Exclusion motions to exclude experts. If you can think of it, if you can conceive of a motion that needs assistance and like you want help with, AI is there to help. And I'm going to show you. You're going to see here, obviously, with AI, it's going to really identify, based on the guidelines that you give it, what the strongest arguments might be, how to include them, and put them in a format that's copy and pastable. Like, in other words, it gives you the answer, you see the answer, and then you decide you want to use it in your motion. Now you have a format that you can incorporate in there. The joy of this is that it ensures that you're verifying the output so that when you put it in your motion, you're sort of checking it for accuracy the way you would anything else that you're checking for accuracy before you put it in a motion. And obviously, like if you give it the guidance and any guidance that whatever it might be, it's going to sort of go along with the structure narratively that you want to create. Take a look at this prompt at the bottom. Remember, you guys are going to get at the end of this, you're going to get this information. So either copy, take a look at this prompt and sort of remember it or whatever, but you're going to get a copy of this at the end. But look at how specific this prompt is. And I'm going to run this prompt a little later too, because I want people to actually see how it works. I mean, in this one, we're asking for specific arguments for a motion for summary judgment. I'm going to make a tweak to that because I want it to be a little bit more specific. But, look, it's going to identify legal standard. It's going to give you the citation, and then it's going to come at it from opposing counsel's point of view. Like that already is just an incredible output. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you this one too. Calling this one dynamic case intelligence, because this is the idea that basically as your case evolves, as you accumulate more information, as more witnesses get deposed, as discovery, like as you go through discovery more, as the case really progresses across its own life cycle, you're now going to be able to use AI to run interrogations across that dynamic sort of workflow, the life cycle of that case, so that you might have interrogated or you might have a summary of one transcript, but now you'll be able to actually take another transcript, another deposition that has been taken, and pit those stories against each other. How do the witnesses tell the story of the same incident? Are there differences? Do they contradict each other? Even further, like how do you map their testimony against the allegations in the complaint? I'm going to show you this as well. But let's take a look at the prompt at the bottom here, which we're going to run in a little bit. Like comparing how they testified, how they had described the incident, and then identify things from contradictions, inconsistencies, changing narratives. I know it sounds kind of subtle, but think about the three different things in that prompt. The contradiction, like a contradiction, an inconsistency could be a contradiction. An inconsistency could just be true because people have different levels of access to information. So maybe it's inconsistent for that reason. AI is going to give you this information so you can decide what to do with it. Again, you're seeing in there that you want the citation so you can verify the output. And I'm going to show you how to use and do that. Quick pause in the chat. I'm seeing some questions come through, and I can't wait to answer those. In the chat, I'm about to show you, we're going to show you Transcript Genius today. What other AI tools are you guys using, or are you guys using Transcript Genius as well? Pop that in the chat because I want to be able to sort of tailor the demo to products that you guys might be using. Okay, strategy number 3 is witness prep. Okay, I've actually done this a number of times. This to me is one of the most tremendous use cases. On the plaintiff side, this can be an incredible time and cost saver because you can develop an incredibly robust, lengthy witness cross-examination sort of mock. You can build that very quickly. You can run through that with whatever witness you're building it for. And very often can be some costs associated with different litigation or trial consultants that go into this. There's a really wonderful use case here to develop this and internally with your team. You can do it quickly. You can do it really in a very cost efficient way. And then you can, if this is the thing that you want to do, this is a different way to sort of go about prepping your witness, I think in a more efficient and cost effective way. It provides another option at least. But as you can see, you can really play devil's advocate, play opposing counsel. You can use AI as opposing counsel, or if you know something about your judicial audience too, what is going to resonate with your judge? What is going to resonate with your jury pool? How do you think opposing counsel is going to approach a cross-examination of your witness? Take a look as well at the sample prompt down here. I mean, I love this. I'm talking through these right now. We're going to do these in real time. But think of the flow and the commonalities between this is now the third prompt you've seen. What you're really doing is assigning it a task. You're telling the way you would a human if someone just came into your office and you had to give it this task. You're giving it the context of where you are in the case. We are preparing for cross-examination. Now, based on this deposition testimony, identify what you think, in this case, 10 most challenging questions. Themes, give me a flow of a line of questioning that opposing counsel might be using, and then explain, give me some ideal responses so that you can really workshop this with your witness. Anyway, great use case. We're going to talk about that here as well. Okay. Strategy number 4. Let's go back. I love seeing this chat. Oh my gosh. So people are using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, Transcript Genius, note-taking devices, Transcript Genius, Protege. Okay, I love seeing this. Yeah, keep chiming in with any of these. Someone's talking about HIPAA compliance. We're going to talk about that. This is great because a huge part of what we're going to talk about is making sure you're using the right tools. We just have to make sure they're secure, and Transcript Genius definitely is when it comes to doing the tasks that we're going to show you. Okay, I keep getting distracted. I'm sorry. It's easy for me to do that when I'm talking about these things. Strategy number 4. Okay, trial domination. I actually love this one because this now, I think I'm probably at this phase with about 3 or 4 different cases that I'm really consulting on, where we've now gone through a lot of the phases that you've seen lead up to this one, and we have active trial dates, pre-trial orders are in place, and now I'm working directly with trial teams to do exactly what you're seeing here. What does the jury pool look like? Here's a whole host of information about the judge, different orders, different things that he or she has said on the record. Like who is the audience in this case? And then what are the trial themes here? And sometimes you're so close to the case. Sometimes it's complex enough that your challenge is actually creative. It's like, how do we now speak to a jury about this? How do we pick a jury? What questions are we asking a jury? What is that jury selection prep going to look like? What is our narrative? How do we draft can we come up with openings that correspond to the trial theme that we've selected? What about a closing, a compelling closing? I've used this one a lot too. When complicated cases where we're trying to demonstrate different patterns and practice, and how do we do this simply and clearly? What visuals can we use that would be compelling to a jury? The joy of this here is that you've just invited a really thoughtful, creative partner into the room at a time when all the legal minds are there doing their sort of brilliant things, but now you're looking for some creative edge. AI can play that role, and we're going to talk about that and show you that as well. And then 5, discovery optimization. Okay, what's missing from discovery? What else should we be asking for? Like, are there any gaps? You're going to see a prompt later where I will actually run deposition testimony against the allegations in the complaint, and then you can make decisions. From a plaintiff's side, you can sit there and you can say, what did they actually testify to, compared with what the complaint alleges. On the defense side, what about every allegation where any of these witnesses actually have no eyewitness testimony of them or no firsthand knowledge? So AI again is sort of party agnostic. But we're going to use these to figure out exactly where the gaps in your discovery might be, and then go from there. Okay, you're seeing a download over here. It's a handout, and you're seeing those 5 powerful AI strategies that winning attorneys actually use. Download that. It's going to give you these prompts, and then we're going to have a whole host of other prompts for you. And then by the end, you'll also have my contact information. So if you want to workshop things specifically, we can do that too. What I really want to, and I think this has just been a repetitive theme of every single conversation I've had around AI now for, I don't know, over a year. You can use it as much or as little as you like. Now, there's some products, and some of the products that we were talking about in the chat, people are using, are going to have cost associations along with them that might be cost prohibitive, depending on the size of your firm or whatever it might, or the constraints that you might have. Some of them are not, right? So if let's presume, and with Transcript Genius, as I said, like you're going to be used, this is a product that if you book a deposition through Steno, you have access to it, no additional cost. Cost is sort of removed from the equation. So then the question only becomes, how deeply do you want to invite it into your workflow? How specific do you want to get? How sort of leveled up do you want your AI usage to be, going beyond just the summary use case? And that is where we're going to go with this. So if you're ready to get started, we're going to dive into, I'm going to stop sharing this screen here in a second. And what I'm going to show you now is Transcript Genius. Some of you all are already using this. But I want to refamiliarize you with it if you're using it sort of just in one or two specific use cases. And for those of you all that are just joining and haven't seen this before, I'll set it up here. Let me stop sharing the screen and let me go over here. All right, cool. I think everyone can see this right now. Let's see. Can people see this screen? It should be popping up right now. Great. I can see it, so I'm assuming everyone else can. You are looking at Transcript Genius. And I'm going to just pause and take a look at the chat here. Stephen has a question. Greg, hang tight on your question too. Great, because these are great questions. Can you compare testimony against discovery responses? David, great question. I'm going to hit all of those and I'll answer them live when I get to the right points. So just hang tight on those. Keep the questions coming. Okay, for those of you all that are using, I want to set this up. Again, what we're looking at right now is Transcript Genius. Transcript Genius is just a tab at the top of Steno's firm dashboard. And Steno's firm dashboard is where you access all of our technology, our AI included. As I've said, I would divide AI into a couple of quick categories, right? Let's just start general. People who are using ChatGPT. ChatGPT can do a whole host of things. Sometimes it does those things really well. Sometimes it does those things not so well. And then we have different specialized tools that really focus on doing one or two or three things brilliantly. That is Transcript Genius, right? This is a specialized tool that is leveraging the power of the best AI, in this case, Anthropic. It's Claude. It's good at analysis. It's good at legal nuance. It's good at thoroughness. It's leveraging that power, and it is designed to, we've built it now to interrogate transcripts, and honestly, with an understanding of other legal documents as well. But we're a court reporting company at our core. And so the initial use case was really, really, really being the tip-top transcript analysis tool. And that just remains the case to this day. So you're looking at a list of all of the cases that have automatically arrived at this firm dashboard because you have booked the job through Transcript Genius. That's important, right? Because you've used this in a process full of friction. One of the things that we have taken out, one of the pieces of friction that we've removed, is this idea that you get your transcript, or you have to figure out how to get a copy of it and get it in the right format and then upload it into a system where the AI is now going to engage with it in the optimal format. That can sometimes be cumbersome. I mean, sometimes it adds more steps. You don't have to do that here because you've booked the job through Steno. If you want to then take a transcript that was not a Steno job, you can upload it here very easily. I say all that because I want people to sort of see just how easy it is to engage with this tool. I'm going to filter out by an actual case. And you're seeing now basically my digital file, right? A digital file of all the depositions. You're seeing that there's different experts, this witness, other witnesses, and I've also uploaded a copy of the complaint. Okay, great. Now we're ready to get going. I mean, this shouldn't be a complicated process. And AI use is so basic on some level that we shouldn't make it more cumbersome and intricate than it needs to be. And so what we're going to do now that we've got it filtered by case is I'm going to go back to this very first theme that we were talking about. And what we were talking about was motions practice mastery. And I've got a couple, I'm going to take that prompt. The first prompt that you have in there, and I'm going to actually kind of tweak it a little bit, because I'm going to take this complaint here and I'm going to take, let's take say these two depositions. And we're going to, now you're going to see on the right side that we've got this complaint. It's going to load that PDF up, but you're going to see it's in a PDF format. And then you've got these depositions in a really optimal, clean looking format for AI to engage with. Over here, just so that everyone has the right context, 5 questions, common questions. Maybe you use them, maybe you don't, but they're not limiting at all. These are not the only questions you can use. This is your place to get like free spirited and engage, like ask the questions that you want to engage. You can see that there's different summary options up here because people love using AI for summaries. But what I want to do is we're taking this up a notch, right? We're talking about motions practice here. And look at the prompt. This is a little bit of a different one than the one that you already have. But I want you to get a sense of how serious, like, and clean and intricate and guided this output can be based off the prompt I gave it. 2 depositions, the complaint. So I've asked it to review the depositions and the complaint. Identify any testimony that supports or undercuts a summary judgment argument on a specific issue, right? In your motions practice mastery, we've given you the template. It doesn't get specific with your legal issue. In this one, I've added in the legal issue that was relevant to this case. And what I've asked it to do, here's the action step: draft a 1-page outline for plaintiff's opposition brief. Take a look at what it's done. It's actually done exactly what I asked it to do. It's given me a limit on, because I've asked it for a short outline. It's given me that exact thing. And then you can see, I'm just going to tinker with the citation format. But it's saying, for example, this is a negligent supervision case. And the idea is that the sort of key player here was not given the essential training by their employer. Okay, look at this. When we talk about optimal tools, AI tools for the right use case, one of the things we need to ensure, AI is only as good as the output it gives you, right? And that means, from a legal perspective, how can you verify it? Can you make sure that what it's telling you is true? In here, the very lead point under the lead section in the outline is that this person testified that she received no training on how to properly transport residents, only shadowed activities. Take a look at this. It is immediately highlighting the source material so that you, in the same screen, can make sure that where you're spending your time is not on actually going through, in this case, probably about 400 pages of transcript and 50 pages of complaint, but getting you the information. And now you're spending your time verifying that it's true. And for those of you that have actually looked at that, you can see that this is exactly what it is telling you. And now you can go about actually engaging with your practice and the time that you're using on these cases in a way that is optimized for the strategic side of your brain, which is what you want to be using it for. The verification matters tremendously. Every single state bar. I saw you guys are around the country: Texas, New York, California, Georgia. I mean, every state bar that I've sort of surveyed that's given any guidance on AI usage is requiring that we make sure that the information that it's telling us is true and correct. And if it's not, that we correct it, because it's your bar card on the line if it goes into a pleading that winds up in front of a judge. Take a look at, I'm just going to do one more just so that you can sort of have a little confidence in what it's telling you. Like the second one, there was no training that she received on facility safety and fall precautions. So here we have our outline. Here we've got it's substantive. It's crossing 3 different documents. I've spent more time talking about it than it actually took to generate this document. If you wanted it to be more thorough, you could ask it to be more thorough. If you wanted it to, while I'm here, let's just throw another one in. Anticipate opposing counsel's response. That's a very sort of brief and to the point prompt. And while it's going to, it's going to be doing that now for me, and it's going to be now coming at me from like devil's advocate, other side. And it's also going to cite to the parts in the transcript that they think they will be using to support their claim. So anyway, simple use case. How does it help with motions practice? Here's a great example. This is a summary judgment. You could do it with motions in limine. You could do it with additional requests for production. We're going to show you some examples on that in a second. I'm going to go back to this chat here because this is when I start seeing things line up, and I love getting these questions. Let's see. Is there any that are worth good answering right now? I'm going to just vaguely answer this one, Stephen. What's the easiest way of detecting whether other party is relying on AI and using phantom cases? I've actually been on this side of that when I've been dealing with opposing counsel who has been using phantom cases. And the way that I found that was actually just by going through myself and checking. I suppose that if you ran it through co-counsel, if you have the right subscription, or protege, you could put those case sites in there and ask if they stand for that right proposition. But to my knowledge right now, unless anyone has a better solution to this, that's much more of a manual verification task, unless it's something that lives inside Westlaw or Lexis. From an actual writing perspective, there are some giveaways. I mean, there's some common ways that AI does engage. It's weird, right? Like it'll use a lot of dashes, for example, or it can just, sometimes it just doesn't sound human. And I know that that's kind of a soft skill. There's also nothing stopping you from taking that brief and putting it in AI and asking it what the clues are that AI might have authored it. So you can actually use AI to play detective on AI, and then you get into this weird cycle of everything you do is in AI, which is a little bit scary. But on the case law citation front, I think that has to be run through really either Lexis or Westlaw that are the two sort of obviously leaders in that sphere. If anyone else has any tips on that, I'd love to hear it. But those are my immediate answers there. Let me go back to, let's move on to a second. I'm going to come back to these questions. So keep asking these questions. I'll come back to them sort of in between demos or prompt demos. So here we are again. Let's go back to now this idea of dynamic case intelligence. And here's what we're going to use. I'm actually going to use in this instance, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to pick a different case. Let's filter by this one. I'm going to pick, I don't know, let's pick actually, I want to go, let's pick these three down here. Because I think if I remember this case correctly, these are real cases, by the way. This just demonstrates it's a good use case for this prompt. So now we're on phase two, right? So we're talking here about dynamic case intelligence. And this was the idea of, witness discussion about the same incident, like how they're testifying about the same thing. How are they testifying about it differently? Are there contradictions, inconsistencies? What kind of discrepancies exist? And sorry, I just got a phone call. So here's what's happening here. It's now identifying. This is what I love too. I haven't asked it to sort of show its work, but sometimes it'll give you context, give you information that you didn't ask for, because it feels like it might be something that's important to you or relevant to you because you asked a specific question. So it's telling you exactly what it's going to analyze, the depositions it's going to analyze. And you can see those over here. So you knew that, but it kind of gives you the date of when they're deposed. And now it's going through major inconsistencies and contradictions. It's decided to actually sort of lump those together, and it's grouped it by theme. And you're seeing in this case, the critical contradictions are communications about break issues in this case. A direct contradiction, who actually made a phone call. A date discrepancy is the timeline of you. So it's not, it's doing some things that are more than just data extraction. It's pulling that data, but it's assessing it in real time for why it might matter to you and the level of importance of the contradiction or the inconsistencies. This is merely just a conflicting account. Here's something else that's policy versus practice. So it's really hierarchically ranged how important these different discussions about the same incident actually are. Memory selectivity, the suspicious pattern. I mean, you're seeing here, and then at the bottom, it's going to give you an overall credibility assessment. So it's actually going to say, diagnose these, sort of give you a conclusory statement about how to sort of think about these three witnesses and how they testified about the same event. This isn't in your playbook, but I like to get into the habit of showing this because I really want people to understand that, like, the first prompt that you give should never be the last prompt that you give. Take this information and really drill into it, as if someone came into your office and said, here's the answer to the question that you asked. What would the first follow-up question B, what is a question that you might have? I mean, what about this? Like, create a line of cross examination for Raymond. I'm going to pick one witness that challenges his credibility. So now we're sort of saying, okay, maybe we've got the information, we've isolated the piece of information in here that matters the most to us, and let's say it's this witness, and we know because we've been working on the case that this witness is going to matter for whatever reasons. Now I'm actually going to get into, and we're going to do this more deeply in another prompt, but the witness prep side of it, right? We're going to actually sort of like get into building an anticipated cross. How do we build that? And you're seeing the thing that I love about this, again, is the citation. So that if you were to cross-examine this witness and you basically, on cross, you basically ask this question, this leading question, where you say you testified in your deposition that you don't recall the exact date you purchased the vehicle, correct? And then the answer actually changes. Right here, you have the impeachment material ready to go. So again, we've got the information and now we're making it actionable. That is the joy of a quality AI product. You're seeing how thorough it is. You're seeing the citations run throughout. And then it's giving you some higher level strategy. Maybe I want even more information. So I can say, say more about selective memory, say more about the physical evidence contradiction. These are the things that I think where you can really ramp up the usage. Okay. I'm going to jump into number 3 here. We talked about witness prep, but this is a really now let's drill into witness prep a little bit more. Because what I've done here is everything you've seen is multiple transcript interrogation. Let's just say now that I really have one witness in mind. I'm going to pick this witness, and I really want to just get AI to focus exclusively on this witness. Here's the prompt that you have in the thing that you downloaded earlier, in the playbook that you downloaded earlier. Let's run it. And just so you can see how quickly and easily it is to dive into a witness examination. I love this, right? You can see in real time, again, it's digesting a couple hundred pages of transcript. And it's isolating, in this case, the 10 most challenging questions opposing counsel will likely ask. Okay? And the thing is, it's giving us the information. Now we decide what to do with it. We may look at 2 and be like, yeah, actually, I'm not really concerned about that one. Here's what I'm concerned about. So I'm saying the first one is the one that we are most concerned about. Let me get it to focus on that. I'm most concerned about number 1. Flesh that out more, help me prepare more across all phases of trial to address this point. That's a prompt just like came up with on the fly, but basically, as we all know, right? A case, how do I address this at jury selection? It's giving me actually like pretrial prep strategy with other depositions, expert witness coordination, opening statements, direct examination. I mean, so it's now taking this comprehensively. So we've got one specific witness, and now we're sort of trying to figure out how that witness can be, the strengths and weaknesses of our case, pivoting around this witness's testimony. And either way, think about how long this assignment might take someone. We've got the jury selection considerations. I didn't ask it for that. I just asked for all phases of trial, but AI understands what all phases of trial are. It's also got, how to thoughts about motions practice, what we should seek to exclude in our motions in limine. What about damage control strategies, messaging throughout trials? Like, we've now got a really nice trial playbook or high level for just this one witness, and we can flesh it out more and more and more should we like to do that. So again, first question we've just got on this one was just getting the information. And here's the second question, how we made it actionable. This took what, a minute? Like, think if you could do this, if you have 30 witnesses, the number of times that I've worked with a trial team and they're like, well, we've got 50 depositions. And I'm like, well, cool, have it. We can have this back to you by the end of the day, because it gives you the information quickly, reliably, and then you can just spend more time deciding what to do with it and where to polish and where to refine. That was witness prep. We're going to jump into trial here in a second. I'm going to see if any other questions have popped in. Let me answer this a couple of questions generally. Scott, this is a great question. We always get this one. How many documents can be interrogated at one time? It's never about the number of documents. It's about the density of information on those documents. PDFs, for example, are just a different format, and sometimes the amounts that AI, Transcript Genius, can interrogate on that front is less than if it were a text file. So that's one answer. Just depending on the formatting the document, it's going to take more or less. The volume of information on those documents matters a lot too. So you could, if you had, 5 50-page transcripts, depositions, it would be able to handle all of those very easily. If you had one 400-page deposition, it won't be able to do 3 of those at once. That's an AI limitation, right? I mean, if you go into Claude, if you go into Gemini, if you go into anywhere, any sort of provider right now, there's one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to have limits on how much you can interrogate, and how many documents at once you can put into a project, or how many documents at once you can interrogate in Transcript Genius, or you're going to have limits on the quality of the output. If you put everything in, and AI it's going to be limited on what size document it can create and how intricate and deep the analysis is. So all of these AI limitations exist. Transcript Genius, the way that we handle it, is since we leverage and we build this off Anthropic, we're always testing internally for accuracy. So we are making sure that we're prioritizing accurate output, because otherwise the AI tends to be less helpful. And so you'll see down here, you'll see that this box, when I go and run an interrogation, if I start adding down here, it's going to fill slowly. So these are 2 pretty sizable documents. I would say this is probably over the limit now, probably because I would guess, probably about 900 pages of document. So you'll have to run multiple interrogations, but that ensures that you're going to be getting accurate output. That's why those limitations exist. Not a hard and fast answer, because it just varies based on the size and quality of the document. Hopefully that answers that question. Okay, let me jump back in, and then I'm really going to focus. We got about 15 minutes left, and I'm sort of finding myself more distracted by the questions this go around, and I want to save time for them. We're going to run 2 more prompts. We're going to talk about trial. Okay, this is great. I'm going to go back to this case where I have a complaint uploaded, and I'm going to pick some different transcripts. And we're going to pick this complaint. We're going to pick this. She was a sort of eyewitness, and here is an expert. Let's interrogate all of these documents at once. I'm going to use the prompt in your manual, because I want you to see that these are actual, real, usable, testable, results-driven prompts. And based off these documents, because I know that these are the key witnesses, and I know that this, obviously the complaint is the complaint, I'm asking it for a whole host of things from trial themes. Like, give me the narrative that goes along with it. Any supporting evidence, the citations, these key phrases, visuals and demonstratives. I love getting visual and demonstrative ideas from AI. Associated jury selection questions as well. So you've got your trial themes. Now, how do you pick the right jury? How do you then tie in those jury selection questions with the theme that you plan on introducing, at opening? What are the key phrases? Is your trial theme, a promise broken, a life forever changed? Are those the things that you're going to really be harping on? Are you going to really sort of run that through from start to finish as you tell the story of your case? And you're seeing it's giving me all of those things, and it's actually breaking it down theme by theme by theme. Again, now you've just invited a creative thought partner into a room full of brilliant legal minds. Maybe that presence was not there before. Maybe there's just been so much proximity to this case that you haven't had space to get as creative as you want. Now the legal work's sort of been done in some sense, but now it's like, okay, how do we speak to a jury about this? AI is a wonderful thought partner here as well. And you're seeing like visual ideas. Maybe you've thought of this one. But like, I love this. I mean, this is a pretty compelling visual. A chart that shows that someone should have had X number of hours but received 0. I mean, that's a pretty crystal clear demonstrative, right? That's not a bad one at all. But here you go. You've got the strategic jury selection questions, and we're rocking and rolling and prepping for trial as a result. I press on this so much. Like when I do this workshopping with trial teams, I get these and I kind of say, okay, are these themes resonating? And if they do, then I'll say exactly what I've said before. Great. Let's focus exclusively exclusively on theme 1. And now I've taken this sort of like broad brush swath of information, and now I'm really getting it to pare down into other use cases. It's a specific use case, this one that I've selected, and it's getting more and more granular, which is ideal, right? So that's trial. And now let me get into discovery. Actually, I'm going to do one more on the trial front because I love this. I haven't shown this functionality yet, but here is an amazing, so it's still going to be spitting out this answer for a second. I'm going to set up this next prompt while it's doing it. But as we prep for trial in this same phase, one of the things that I really love to do is to take the contents of the complaint and then map all of the allegations in each deposition or whatever depositions I feel to be relevant against that complaint. And maybe it'll get there. This, look, this just goes to show how thorough it is, right? Like it's just spitting out pretty solid. And then I get distracted by the output because I haven't thought about these before, these different themes. Some really interesting exhibit ideas, the broken promises timeline. It's already kind of extracted information on that timeline, but let's say you wanted that timeline to be more comprehensive. Again, I'm just sort of reacting to the information it's giving me. Maybe a prompt that I would use here is, okay, focus on this timeline. Give it to me in like specific detail of all the incidents that are relevant. That's what it should be doing. It should be really each prompt and each answer should be triggering your next prompt and your next answer. And now it's obviously taking us chronologically through trial. We've got our closing arguments. We've got our countering defense arguments, damages argument tied to theme. I mean, here it all is. And we've just done that very quickly. Here's the last part. This is cool because I want you to see this functionality. This is the chart where it's now digesting all of the information, every allegation by allegation in the complaint, and then mapping it against the supporting and contradicting testimony. And if there's any gaps in the evidence, and it'll obviously give me that answer here shortly. And look at this chart. You can copy and paste this chart. You can copy and paste all of this output very easily by clicking these pages down here and bringing it to whatever document you want. But look at this chart, right? Now you don't even have to go through and map it yourself. You can kind of actually see exactly where it's drawing the information from the allegation and the complaint and the supporting and the contradicting testimony. Great use case pre-trial, obviously, for a number of reasons. Okay, last one, and then it's question time. We're on the discovery side of things now, and sort of this could be used at any point throughout the case. Let me just stay in this same chat because we've got the deposition selected. Scrolling to the bottom here and take a look at this. Well, it's still going through that pretty solidly. But the prompt that I'm setting up here, and this is the last one that I want to use, is look at all the depositions taken so far. Give me any critical witness that we haven't deposed yet. What about document requests? What about things that we haven't asked for that we could ask for? And then make sure that you give me an answer in order of what you see to be like most pressing, procedurally, like hierarchically, strategically most important. By the way, you're seeing, but this format is condensed. That's because my screen is a little condensed. When you copy and paste this and put it in whatever document you're going to put it in, I stopped that interrogation, by the way, because I want to get to this last one. It'll be nice and clean. The formatting will look super slick and you'll be able to, you don't have to tinker with it too much. So let's ask it this final discovery question. This is the sort of the fifth pillar of the strategic guidance that lives in that playbook that you downloaded. And it's identifying witnesses that haven't been deposed in priority order, what we could expect to be focusing on in those depositions, you know, and then obviously afterwards, it's going to give us a little bit more context around other documents that we might be interested in getting and demanding from the opposing side. Here's 5 of them. I mean, you never have to limit it to 5. You could say, give me all of them. You could sort of get it to focus on what you want. But here you go. Now you've got actionable, again, information just by running the right prompts in quick succession against the right documents. Super straightforward. Follow-up questions we should have asked existing witness. This can be a little humbling, especially if you were the one that took the deposition, and now it's pointing out different areas to improve. I'm going to let it keep answering that question, and I'm going to come back here again, you're seeing how thorough it is. Let me come back to the chat. And in the last 10 minutes, let me sort of jump into some of these questions because I think they're good questions. Janice is asking, can the output be printed as opposed to copy and pasted? You can't print directly from the screen, but what you can do is, and this is what I like to do, I'm going to show you, is I take all of this because rarely is the first prompt the prompt that I want to be using the most. And I'm going to go what I mean by that. The answer that the first prompt gives me, like usually I like to build a comprehensive notebook. If I'm prepping a witness, I've got all of it in the right spot. So basically when I take it over here, you can see how easy it is. You can see that all the citations come with you. So you take all of the information with you. Once I've built this document, I can obviously print it from wherever the document is living. But Janice, to answer your question head on, can't print directly from Transcript Genius just yet. Marvin, is all of this information stored in the cloud? How do we ensure client information is not shared, protected? Amazing. I love this question. You're asking the right question. Take a look at this. Our AI, we have a zero. Oh, I should go right here. Our AI has you'll see the two questions. Are we using any of that information to train AI? No, there's no training of the AI model with the sensitive client information that you're putting into it. And then from a security side, look at all of these compliances that we have. There's a SOC 2 compliance, there's a HIPAA compliance, and there's no retention on the AI side. So it's just completely secure. We have a third-party monitoring all the time, these controls. You have access to that. Your IT team has access to that. But I should have answered that question from the outset. That's how important security of AI is. We take it really seriously. It's built, we've got lawyers on team, and it's obviously built for lawyers in mind. So you can put it in without having to worry that it is going to be retained by the AI. If you're putting it into an open ChatGPT account or any other AI that doesn't have those heightened levels of security, I would caution heavily against that. Paula, the chat history is not kept. Once you close out of the interrogation, it's gone. That's the importance of taking the information with you. I think down the road, there probably is ways that we can allow for it to be as secure a product as it already is, while hanging on to some interrogations internally. But for right now, for a whole host of security reasons, once that interrogation is exited out of, it's gone. That's the importance of taking that information with you. Linda, can you use Transcript Genius if Steno did not do the depositions? You absolutely can. Obviously, the ideal, I'm going to show you, is that you book jobs through Steno, and that's how you get access to Transcript Genius. If you want to test it out, reach out to me. We can figure out a way to make that happen. But if you're using Steno to get your jobs booked and your transcripts done, then you're automatically going to have access to this. And then you'll be able to upload transcripts that are non-Steno transcripts. And you'll see here, it's as easy as just clicking your text or PDF files from your computer, and then you can go ahead and use Transcript Genius on those files. But if you want to tinker with it, Linda, I'll put my information in the chat and you can reach out to me. James, we can upload anything to Transcript Genius. No, not right now. It can understand text and PDF files, especially OCR PDFs. It's going to understand what they are. It's built for transcripts because of the unique citation format of transcripts. Pages and lines, obviously, and transcripts are really unique. But it's AI. AI is capable of understanding more than just transcripts. So I do use complaints. I do use other filings. I can put it in there. And it's going to understand what they are and the additional case context it gives. It's not going to be able to cite with its exact pinpoint precision as it would a transcript for obvious reasons, right? It just doesn't have the pages and lines that a transcript does have. But that's where Transcript Genius is definitely headed, to sort of take more documents in and understand them. But for right now, if you have other PDF filings and the complaint, things like the other documents associated with the case, feel free to add those in there. As is the case with all AI output, as I've shown you, you've got to make sure that you verify the output. And that's as easy as, I'm going to just run the interrogation, making sure that you click the hyperlinked to the source material so that you can actually see that it's giving you the information that it's telling you and that it's true and correct. Yeah, Christina, text files are great. And you should be getting those from your court reporters anyway. Text files to me are optimal. PDFs are just fine though. They just don't cite they're just formatted differently in the precision of citation. It'll take you to the page. It'll give you the page and line in the answer, but it'll actually just take you to the page so that you can verify it itself. Text though is optimal. So save those documents in text format, but PDFs work wonderfully. And our internal team, shout out to them. They tested our PDF functionality, and there's nothing quite like it on the citation front that I've seen. Stephen, upload multiple. You're asking when you're seeking suggestions from uploaded pleadings, are you limited to one at a time? You can upload multiple. Go for it. The only limitation would be capacity, but those pleadings don't tend to be as long as transcripts anyway. So, if you have other case documents that you want to give context to your question, go for it. That's a great question and a great use case. Yeah, summarizing documents before taking depositions or summarizing documents along with transcripts for motions. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you from using it for that purpose either. That's a great use case, Michael. I think that's a wonderful one. And again, you've seen the upload functionality. You can upload it and ask it for those summarizations. Obviously, again, we're a court reporting company, so you get access to Transcript Genius when you book jobs through Steno. But if you want to try it out and see how it would work, this is a wonderful use case, and I'd be happy to make that happen. We can put my email in the chat. I'll do that. I've said that a million times and I haven't done it yet, but I promise I'll follow through on that. Okay, Michael, another great question. Like AI limitations. This is what this is. And I know, Tara, I've got to give you 3 minutes, so let me get through this question. AI has its limitations. It just does. Different formats, it's not going to read, engage with as well. And there's no product out there that I've seen that understands all formats and answers brilliantly on all of them. Transcript Genius does a masterful job of the things that I've shown you. And if you want to have a discussion, Michael, about other products that I've tinkered with, I'd be happy to talk about those too. Do I have any more questions that need answering? Last one, Janice, I'm answering this question, and then Tara, it's yours. Are you charged for using Transcript Genius? When you book a job through Steno, part of the litigation, the tech that you get that you're paying for with that gives you access to this. You can use it as much or as little as you like. It's a differentiator. We believe that adding this as the back end is a real game changer. That's why we've modeled it this way. But there's no contract. There's no sort of like subscription. You can use it and you can get going as soon as you sort of get going with Steno. I didn't get to some of your questions. I'm sorry. I want to put my information in the chat. Tara, back to you, I suppose.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, I'm going to pop your LinkedIn in the chat right now. You can definitely feel free to reach out to Joe there. I know he would be more than happy to chat with you, as he's been saying. Just a couple of reminders before we go. The recording of this webinar will be shared with you by email after the session, so don't worry if you missed a piece. That will come your way. There is also a couple of handouts in the handouts tab of your chat panel there. Make sure you download those if you haven't already. There is a copy of the slide deck, a copy of our e-guide, AI Power Plays in there for you. And also on the left side of your screen, you should see a little pop-up for the next webinar, our last webinar of the year coming up in December. It's a little holiday special, so definitely check that one out. Save your seat if you want to join us. And with that, Joe, thank you so much for your time. We all really appreciate it, as always.
Thank you all. It's always a joy to be here, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.